iPad, I'm like, I don't know if she has an auto seller.
No, just define what you know what we want to plan.
I'll blame you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, you should go for it. That will come, right?
So we tore through my rubber boot, I had rain boots on, and
Yes.
there's a mama
And
that
then-
got out.
And then
so much
Cal,
pain.
don't call me Steve Cal,
That's
black
okay.
or white velvet.
Okay.
There it is.
Oh, 15?
I also have paddle back behind my house.
Who's up?
His is more than, it's in South Carolina. Yeah, I'm actually going to help him. He had a, we've always grown up with cows and bikers, and they used to get out.
No, they have a,
It was so funny,
The
because
Sawtell.
they have a, like they have
it was
gymnastics.
hilarious.
No, It's not gymnastics, but it's.
Yep.
So have
9:30.
There's a good chance the audio is on streaming live now, so don't say anything too interesting.
We are now on. Okay.
That's your editing pin, right?
What?
That's your editing pin?
It's my grading.
Oh, grading.
Can I type green? Is that acceptable?
Buddy Denise won't talk to you forever.
I feel like red is really ingrained. So I'm reading green.
You're not gonna start sending me spam.
He's gonna send you ridiculous
That's okay.
speech emails. Put your work one down.
I was gonna send a thank you to people, but the hell with that. How many people altogether? Altogether, what? Well, Ryan was
Lanesville.
so I'm not
It
really
was like 400 something.
sure. He had 403, but I had approval 450. and
Really nice building.
I would say
Stuff.
450.
Or Massachusetts next year.
The only
Instead of
thing
making it my house
I
way down
have,
here.
I have maybe
Good, how you doing?
12 pounds of pork left. A couple of salads. You guys want a salad?
Everybody wants to get in the back of the
This
room.
Thursday?
Maybe so.
Yeah,
I believe so,
I have both them on, but I didn't label them as ABCs.
right to the
start board.
If you're trying to get a salad.
Yeah, so we get
8 beans.
I like it, it was good.
and library, and then next time it's all the commissions.
So when do you start?
So I know we don't have
On the
binders,
third,
but do we have those?
She gets sworn in.
No.
This is the time to change your mind.
I can guarantee you don't
Supposed to be
think
sent to the chair.
Oh, you don't have a clue.
What am I getting myself
Oh, he said.
We call it orientation.
Library.
Yeah.
We receive both buttons
This
today.
first.
So that just takes signing.
Yeah, I'm looking for that.
What are you doing now?
Landscaping.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Big change.
Yeah, so I went from, I did landscaping this summer while I was, while I was.
Well, I
was
Thursday?
meeting for like-
No problem.
I would,
So I like-
yeah, we have watched this meeting last year.
Yeah, because I was looking at those.
I don't know. That's a hard one.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of people,
Like,
yeah, I don't know, I don't know.
You all set?
I don't know.
That's a side scrap.
They wouldn't take you for that.
my recruiting, no, I think he loves it. After that.
Were you involved in sports in some way?
They stopped.
Do you drop off?
At the church, when they got to.
You all set?
Yeah, he just had to come.
Call the meeting to order.
It's soccer.
First order of business, public comment. If anybody has a public comment, please come to the podium, state your name and address. You have 3 minutes to address your comments to the board and not to the audience. Anybody else like to come up?
Eric, what did I? Eric Sawtell, 93 North River Road. I just would ask the board if you have comments, suggestions, how we might, or whoever does the fair again, if they do it again, might do it differently. It would be appreciated because we have a fair meeting next week and we're trying to do a wrap up. So any comments that you have, you could either forward to me or Karen. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. Anyone else? No? All right. Next order of business is Martin Thornton for the Trails Committee.
Gordon, sorry for the late publication we sent out to you. Last week got away from us, but we're here to talk about the Esker Bridge and Maud Jones Memorial Forest, which was approved by the Select Board in April of this year to be built. We'd hoped to get some grant money to pay for it, and the grants that we submitted to, we did not get awarded. So we're asking for consideration for $400 in the ARPA funds to go towards building the bridge. The balance of what it would take to build the bridge would then come out of the Conservation Commission budget. But we've got the DES approval, Select Board approved it, so everything is ready. We just are looking for some funding.
Questions for Martin? So would it be like up here by this fallen log? Or
Right.
where would it be, Martin?
On the back side where the summary is, there's a second log that we put across there. So that's
Alright.
where we're gonna move.
Oh,
It's
so
about
just-
5 feet up, but it gets you up about 2 feet above the stream level.
Okay. No questions? No? Okay, and you're okay with the funding sources? Okay.
Can we wait till we get to the funding source discussion at the meeting? I mean, I don't have a problem with it as long as we have plenty of money in ARPA. I know we're looking at ARPA later.
Okay, well, do
Is it,
you wanna wait?
that was what I was suggesting.
You okay to wait?
Yeah, you mean later on tonight?
Yeah, I just wanna wait till we get to the ARPA section, which is in number 4. I don't know if it really matters, but I just
Okay,
wanted to look at that. I mean, I looked at this sheet, but I felt like something was missing, so I was just.
Okay.
Okay?
thank you, thank you very much. Steve Bullock?
So it's been a year since we switched heating companies. And they approached us about either going back out to bid, if we were gonna do that, or if we wanted to extend. I saw zero reason to go back out, they've done a really good job. Responded to every single problem that we've had throughout the entire year. So instead of doing it every year, or worry about re-upping every year, we put together a contract to do it for a 3-year agreement instead of a single-year agreement. The prices should have all stayed the same from one contract to the other, nothing changed.
I would say when we first had a problem with the town office building, I called Jim Daly and told him that I had had thermodynamics, through Steve, come look at the heating system, and he was very upset and said, you need to use my guy, I'm not paying the rates for thermodynamic. When we actually got the bill, Jim called me back and asked me for thermodynamics number because they were considerably less than his people and wanted to make sure that he could use them. So,
Interesting.
Any questions for Steve?
My only question was, I just want to make sure I was understanding this letter. It says, provide will be 1 seasonal air conditioning store, but that's 1 for each of the ACs, not like just 1.
Yes.
Okay. And then listed here also is this, what we spent on this past spring and fall, and part of that is the town offices. Does Jim Daly not cover the cost of,
No,
oh,
we do all maintenance,
I didn't know.
unless they're major repairs.
yeah, like maintenance or age. Doesn't Jim cover things that are, he covered some of the stuff that died because the equipment was old.
Okay, but we cover this
Yes.
HVAC service for the town offices.
It's a unique,
I also found that annoying.
That's what's written in our rental agreement?
it is.
Okay, interesting.
Yep.
Yep, I have no other questions.
I do have a question. It says funds to come from the highway department. Why wouldn't that come from town buildings?
I don't, that's my fault. I screwed up, so
So
it'd be
we'll
town-
come out of-
it'd come out of the town building maintenance and renovation line.
Okay. Just to be clear, because it is.
Yeah, no, I know.
Building,
Steve, you feel it's a fair price and a,
Yeah, I mean, so we had issues with every single furnace in the entire building, or in every building this past year. And in the contract, it was written, they had to respond within 3 hours, and they, well, within their time frame on every single call. Where in previous years, with the previous companies, they were like days before they come.
Wow.
Anything else? Yep. I move to authorize the Public Works Director to enter into a 3-year contract with Thermodynamics Incorporated for HVAC services in the amount of $5,955 per year. Do I have a second?
second?
Any discussion? Nope. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next.
So it says eliminating salt sand mix. I'm gonna change that to, I'd like to move it. I wanna put it in the dump transfer station. So It's, salt is gonna be $20, almost more a ton than it was last year. Sand, we didn't get any bids back when we went out, and then earth put in one after the fact, because we got no bids, and it was at $19.90 a yard. So, those are massive increases, and our big problem is, we kick people out during the day that do it, but when we leave at night and on the weekends, they go in there and they load spreaders up with sand, and they go sand people's yards. So if I move it into the transfer station, you can only get it Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Where would he put it?
Put it up by where like the wood chips and stuff are, right on the side of the building, right on it.
So it would be outside?
Yeah, I mean, it's outside now. I'd put a tarp over the top of it like
Oh,
Dolan does.
all right.
So we'd cover it. But,
Do we need to limit the amount on it anyway, 5 gallon
I
bucket?
mean, it says 5 gallon now.
Okay. So just-
Like, and so like,
Supervise
for
that.
like, and people are taking salt out of the barns too down there and not,
right.
even though it clearly says not to. Because I had a guy in the transfer station earlier this year ask where he could give this back, and it was a 5 gallon bucket full of road salt.
Ooh.
So they're opening doors when we're not there and taking stuff out of it too.
Can you secure them when you're closed?
Yeah, so they are locked. They just go underneath with a shovel and scoop it out.
Oh, that's pretty sneaky. That's pretty sneaky. Maybe when it gets caught in the road to do a nightly watch there every night, kind of hang out there.
And it's pretty good.
I've done it before,
Oh,
kicked
okay,
them
all
out.
right.
So move it to the transfer station, and
Yeah,
then
that's what I
there's no
want.
reason for anyone to be in that
And-
area anymore.
Try to enforce the 5 gallon bucket rule more. Yeah.
We talked one time about putting a gate up.
Yeah, and I'm planning on still putting a gate up to keep people out from doing that, but if I put if we close the gate, it's gonna be closed every night at 3,
Right.
where if they at least get a couple more hours in the transfer station,
Okay,
and those have to adapt.
all right.
I mean, enough people use the transfer station anyway, and the busiest days that we have is when the transfer station's open anyway, so it's
Okay.
a one-stop shop
And when would you do this?
before winter.
So immediately? So can we put something in the require to
Something like
let people
Crier on
know?
Facebook about it.
And we haven't started mixing any of it yet. We won't mix it till after
Okay,
Thanksgiving probably, unless something.
because I was lobbied numerous times on Saturday about this particular issue. So, lobbied, yes,
About,
lobbied.
about getting rid of it, or?
Yeah, about, yes. So they thought you were getting, because it says discuss eliminating.
I was gonna discuss eliminating it, but I had been lobbied numerous times too. and come up with a
Yes,
different-
I was heavy
different
lobbying,
option.
heavy lobbying, yeah.
I think it's one thing to offer something, especially if somebody doesn't have access to this, because it can keep someone safe, and I think that's important. But I think when somebody's filling up an entire truck
Yeah.
with something that's, you know, that's a lot of money that we're spending. That's very unfair. I think it's one thing if you have a 5 gallon bucket and you're trying to make sure your path is safe.
That was some of the things that people said, it's great that you have it, but where would I go to get it if I couldn't get it there? So,
Right. And I think that's important because it's a safety issue for the residents.
and all these people that lobbied me were excessive in age. So it's not like all the young people are concerned about it, it's the older people, so they have to make sure that the walkways and stuff are safe, so.
And maybe at the transfer station it'll be easier, they can just do it on one
Could be.
time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
And it says highway department, ARPA, it's all ARPA funds. I'd like to know what I've been approved to do and what I haven't been approved to do.
If you hang around for a little bit longer, you'll find out. But there's a list. There was probably, it was in the packet. 'Cause
I don't know that I included the new projects, all of them. I think I did, but I did what we had spent today for 23 and what we had spent total for 22.
I think that'll be important. That was a mistake that we made in not making that list as soon as it was free, so we can make sure we get that to you.
23.
Yeah, what I've listed for 23 is what we've actually expended today.
Oh, okay.
So we need a list of what we are planning on expending.
Yeah, because I've got like people lined up to do some
Right.
stuff that I thought I was approved to do, and I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
actually approved to do them.
And there's a long wait line, so we don't want to not be in line.
So where's the list of, is it only in the financial planning tool?
It's in the financial planning tool, and I believe John, I was gone for a couple of days last week, but I believe that John did send me, myself and Denise, an updated copy of that, so I can go through that and pull the specific items and
Just so Steve knows what he's,
send them to Steve or send them to the board, or like,
send them to Steve, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because like one of them we've already done, and I'm hoping that I was approved to do it.
Well, which one was that?
All the sensors in the ceilings to get the lights to
Yes,
shut off and
definitely.
everything.
that would be energy
Okay.
projects.
Yeah, so you're good with that one, so,
Yeah, I have that on my list.
So we'll get you all of
I
it.
had town
Yep.
hall boiler.
So the town hall boiler's done, but that was on first. That got finished
Last year.
3 weeks ago, maybe even a little bit longer than that.
the last time we met about this, we left about 50,000 unallocated because we had some iffy things, so,
The major ones I'm worried about is the roof over the door down there and the side of the Sally
Those
port.
ones I know we
Yeah, we definitely went
Yeah.
through
both of those.
those are good.
All right, so then those were pretty much
Well,
it for
still,
that, that's just what I wanted.
Andy should give you a copy of what's been approved, so you have that.
I'll give him an official copy from the financial planning tool.
Is there anything else
So we should know about.
that you think we should be more on our radar since we did meet with them?
Well, we have ARPA talk at the end, so I
Okay.
can come back up. I'm not leaving.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, And then the paving contract extensions on there, they want to extend, I don't have anything to sign or do anything with.
So at the same rate,
Be at the same rate, yes.
and is
I
that,
mean, pavements, or asphalt cement is like $250 more per ton than it was in June when we paved, so the prices currently are through the roof, but they should go back down.
okay,
Hopefully, they'll go back down.
okay, all right. So when we do it next calendar year, if the price is less than what this year's,
If the asphalt cement price is less than what we did in the end of June, the price will go down per
okay, all
ton.
right, all right.
That's great.
And then if it's higher, it's all part of the escalation that's in the contracts that we have.
Okay. All right. Good,
Thank you.
all set?
Thank you.
Karen Rossi?
Hello. So when we moved into the new building, the select board at that time gave me permission to leave the fair stuff in our old building. And then about 2 weeks ago, the maintenance department was instructed to move everything out that wasn't the historical society stuff. So at first, I was gonna come here to talk about leaving that stuff there, but I thought of a solution over the weekend. I spoke with Pat Jenkins, and I spoke with the chairman of the Ag Commission. In our building at the town office, there's a room, an office for Ag and Heritage. And it dawned on me this weekend that the Rec Commission doesn't even have an office. So Pat Jenkins has agreed to let us move her two filing cabinets into the assessing file room. And the Ag Commission is okay with the fair stuff and the rec stuff being stored in that building.
That's fabulous.
So I just need permission for that.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yes.
Thank you for thinking that.
And the historical society asked, not
That's not what was
instructed.
relayed to me.
Well, we talked about this as a committee, or as a society, we were asked, Bill, if we could move it someplace else.
Okay.
So if that didn't come through to
It did.
Bill, okay, well,
And then I was like, wait a minute, the select board gave me permission 2 years ago
Yeah.
to leave that stuff
no,
there.
it was an ask,
Okay.
so,
And then the next thing is a townwide yard sale. It's been asked if we could host a townwide yard sale again this fall. So I'm here for permission for that. Do you want me to keep coming back, or can I just do it at my discretion?
You have a overarching, okay for town-wide
Yeah.
yard sales, whatever you choose to organize.
so,
Thank you. That's
I
much
say it's
better.
good until the board changes, then you probably
Sure.
wanna come back.
Great,
So,
perfect, thank you. And then in a few meetings ago, the select board gave permission for the Public Works to hang up a VFW sign on a existing signpost on Route 155, which I don't have a problem with, except for it violates our zoning. And I just want to make sure that this board knows it. But you have the choice to enforce zoning or not. The zoning ordinance makes every property, if your sign is not on your property, you have to get a variance from the zoning board.
We authorized a VFW sign or a sign donated by the VFW? I thought it was a donated sign of the town of Lee.
Yeah, it's a,
No,
Maybe I misunderstood it.
I think you misunderstood then. It's a VFW sign.
Got it.
Because Mr. Morrow and I have been talking about the process,
Okay.
and the next thing I heard, you got approval, I'm like, well, I don't think the select board realized. I don't care, as long as you realize what you did, that's all I care about.
Okay. Hi.
Scott Rowe, 4 Federal Hill Lane. So if you guys want to see a picture of the sign, because I don't have the sign, because I didn't go get it today from Steve, but I have, this is what the sign looks like. Where it says VFW 10676.
Got it, all right, so I remember it being a welcome to Lee.
Yeah,
sign.
so
I didn't
welcome,
realize.
well, it says welcome,
VFW.
so it's like this, it says welcome to Lee, New Hampshire,
Great.
home of VFW Post 10676. And it mentions an award we got in 2021.
Okay.
Then we talked about putting those up on the welcome to Lee, New Hampshire signs on the 4x4s.
yes, I remember that.
Because the state of New Hampshire's already given me permission to put them up on the state of New Hampshire roadway on the signs that have the
yeah.
roadside cleanup for us.
Which is great, but
So-
the town zoning ordinance doesn't allow that.
What's
But
the?
Whose property is it on?
It would be in the DOT right away.
So that overrides us. So,
No, our zoning ordinance says if you want to put a sign not on your property, the only exemption is state of New Hampshire signs, and
okay, go
it's
ahead.
not a state of New Hampshire
It's
sign.
not a state of New Hampshire sign. The state of New Hampshire gave me property to put it on their signage, or you guys
How can we
mentioned.
give permission to put a sign on somebody else's property though?
We have to go to the zoning board, and then they have to get permission from the property owner to put the sign up.
Which is the state,
But
which
you
has
already
already
have
given him permission.
But now our zoning ordinance requires, I know, I'm just saying, if
Yeah, we
you,
should follow the rules.
if you guys are, if you guys realize you need, you enforce the ordinance.
Well, I
So
think we should follow the rules as we would ask anyone else to. So
Yeah.
what step are we missing? We need
he would have to go to the zoning board unless this board grants him permission.
Okay.
Because you are the enforcers of the ordinance. If you don't want him to have to go to the zoning board, you just say so. And he's all set.
I mean,
Grant a waiver.
yeah, I know.
It's not a waiver, you're just choosing not to enforce the ordinance.
That's precedent.
It's up to you.
I just don't get the thing that we can give permission to put something on somebody else's property. Because it's not ours to control.
It's my understanding he received permission from
Right, that's
Brian
what-
Scott, the district engineer.
Like Steve did.
We're not giving permission to put the sign up, we're giving permission to ignore the fact that we don't normally allow something.
Correct.
there.
You're choosing not to enforce it. Mr. Morrow and I have talked about this for a while. He was gonna, last I knew, he was going to put it up at the intersection of George Bennett Road and Route 125. And then I was told that this board gave him permission to put it up on 155 someplace, which is great. As long
May I
as,
tell the story?
sure,
Okay, so when you and I spoke, oh, I gotta come up here. All right, here I am again. So when you and I spoke.
Oh. Name
Do I
and
have to-
Direct board, not
do I
me.
have to- Okay, so
Name
when
and
Karen,
address, please.
so when Karen, oh, my name's Scott Morrow,
Address?
4 Federal Hill Lane, New Hampshire, hasn't changed. So when Karen and I spoke, she mentioned talking to Mr. Daly, but she talked to Mr. Daly on behalf of VFW, and he wasn't too receptive of having a sign put up there, because everybody puts their signs up there, and he doesn't like that. So I was like, I can understand that, I can, you know, I dig it. I can understand that. So then I was like, all right, well, now what do we wanna do? So I went back to the VFW, and I went, and I spoke to Steve, so that's when the VFW bought a second sign, so that we could put one on each end of 155, saying, welcome to Lee, home of VFW Post 10606. And Steve got permission from the gentleman at the state of New Hampshire, as long as it doesn't impede the flow of traffic or anything like that, to do that. Talked to Karen about getting a variance. I'm just jumping through all the hoops to get a couple of signs to say, welcome to Lee, New Hampshire, home of VFW Post 10676. I'm not looking to sell blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, eggs, pressure washing business, junk removal, any of those other signs that I've seen around town. I just want my signs up. We've had these signs for well over a year now. I can either put them up on the signs that are already there for the roadside cleanup, which would be actually up here at almost the triangle, right at the start of Mass Road, and then it would be down right before the on and off ramps on Route 4 for the scenic highway cleanup, and that's the section of road that the VFW cleans up, and that's the signs that we asked to put the welcome, these signs up on there. And then when I came and we were talking, and Tom was talking about, Chief Johnsfield was talking about doing the signs for the town of Lee, I was like, oh, wait a minute, I got these nice signs, we could put those up there with them too, because these are reflective. And you guys liked the idea, and that was that, and everything like that. And then I talked to Karen Rossi, and she was like, wait a minute, Travis, and I'm like, oh God, that's right, I forgot to get a variance. So.
I heard the conversation.
This is.
Yes, it wasn't on the phone.
Like I said, as long as you're aware of that,
I think the challenge is, is there something that we're not thinking of? Is there somebody that is gonna also wanna do the same? I don't know that we have all those angles, or is that something that's why it's zoning in charge, or do we just go ahead and do it?
When you go to Hampton, there's a beautiful sign, it's a nice wooden sign, and it has all the organizations there. Same thing with Northwood and a lot of other towns.
We don't have that.
We don't have that.
So
So
our other organizations have
that's
that.
my quandrum. I mean, I got these nice signs that were awarded to us,
Right,
and we just like to put them up.
yeah.
I don't think it's a problem if you have to go to the zoning board, I think it's just one more step.
So, I mean, if I gotta do another step, I gotta do another step. Is that what I gotta do? I don't, just let me know.
That would be cleanest.
Okay.
So there should be no problem with the zoning board saying, yes, you can do this, right?
I know it's frustrating. I'm really
I
sorry.
don't know.
No, I'm asking Karen.
I'm sorry.
I don't foresee a problem, but I don't know.
Okay, all right,
I can't predict that for.
all right. So go to the zoning board, do your thing. Hopefully they meet soon, right? Thursdays, is it? Or
Third Wednesday of every month.
Third Wednesday. So it'll be October, whatever it is.
Well, that's too late, you have to have 30 days prior.
And they'll know that we're fine with it, and we're just making sure we are dotting our i's and crossing our t's.
Yep.
Thank you,
So
sir.
you won't have to come back, you can just, once that passes. you
Yeah,
can
well,
go.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, we're good with it, they just need to
Okay.
approve it.
Thank you.
Alright.
So I gotta go to another meeting, one more meeting, okay. Okay.
So at Rick Stevens' service, I was approached by a mutual friend of ours, and he is a monument maker. And he would like to donate this arch, should we pass that, to the town and put it up at Little River Park. And the person who engraves for him has also wants to donate the engraving. It's 14 feet long, 12 feet wide. And he wants to engrave it,
12 inches wide.
12 inches.
sorry.
That's a big piece of
Sorry.
Wow.
He would like to have it engraved in memory of Rick Stevens, something like Rick's Playground, and install it at the park. The rec commission talked about it, and they think it's a great idea. The rec commission voted to let the location of it, if this board approved, to be determined by the Public Works and the family, because Public Works takes care of it and the family. And if for those of you who don't know, Rick was instrumental in doing a lot of work at that park, especially the bridge. He donated all the lumber for the bridge, made the bridge, installed the bridge. So that park is near and dear to him, or was. So,
What does Primex say? Anything?
I have not run this by Primex yet. I can't imagine they would have a problem with it, but I will indeed check with them.
Is it at a height where we need to make sure there's playground mulch underneath it?
Could be.
Steve has thoughts as to where to put it and
Okay.
all that.
We'll definitely want to play on it, so. where they
Yeah.
come.
So there's like a few ideas to do with it. One would be put it like at the front of the sandbox and have it integrated into the, because there's already rocks stacked around the sandbox, have it somewhere integrated into there, so it would just be in the sandbox in front. The other idea, which would be pretty cool, but could be a lot more work, is find 2 more pieces of granite and sink them into the ground and have it go over the top of the bridge Ricky built as you walk in.
It's only 12 inches wide though, right?
Yeah.
Not feet.
No, it's 14 feet this way, 12 inches
Yeah.
from front to back.
Yeah, 12 inches width.
Yes,
Not 12 feet.
not 12 feet.
Yeah, that would have
Like
been
a
awesome.
tunnel.
It's a beautiful stone.
I love the idea. of
But if we
having
did it at around the sandbox, there'd be like rocks underneath it, so you really couldn't crawl through it, and then
Mm.
you'd have, it just would be more built into what currently is there.
And it couldn't just be something in its own area where it was like its own play structure to play underneath or,
I don't know.
yeah.
I mean, that's just, you probably could. Those are
It's
just,
pretty artistic, like I like the idea.
because if you put it by the playground, if you put it by the sandbox as they walk over the bridge that Ricky built, I mean, they'll see it sitting there.
And you have equipment that can pick this up, or are they moving it?
They will do it. They will
So-
set it,
so-
deliver it,
okay.
everything.
Alright.
Wow.
How much does that weigh?
A lot.
Oh.
Like 5 pounds, 10,000 pounds?
8 or 9,000 pounds probably.
Okay. Yeah, it looks a little beefy.
Yeah, he was gonna donate it and everything. Set it, donate it, deliver it, engrave it,
So if a
everything.
12-inch wide one is 8,000 pounds, a 12-foot one would have been 100,000 pounds.
Sorry, my apologies.
Boy, we let things go so easily.
Yeah, I'm okay with it as long as the Primex people don't say, hey, this is a liability.
Yeah, I can't imagine they will, but I will certainly check with them.
And what will go underneath it, Steve? Will there be?
Maybe more rocks, just so you can't crawl underneath it, so you like fill in the gap.
I'm just
with
thinking,
rocks.
kids are gonna wanna jump on top of it. If they fall off, it'd be nice to have something cushy.
Well, one side of it'll be sand,
Alright.
if it goes there.
I'm just thinking about, kids are gonna climb.
So it's only, I think it's only 18 inches tall if you go from,
Here to here.
yeah, it's not that tall.
Yeah, it's only 18.
It's not, it's like 18 or 20 inches tall, so you're underneath the requirement for chips, but we can still put chips
I'm
around
just
it too.
worried about a kid falls off it, falls on a rock, hits his head,
Yeah.
or she. I'm just concerned about the damage factor, because I don't wanna be on this board when somebody comes and says, my kid fell off your display here, and I'm suing you for millions of dollars because now he has a brain injury. So,
I think our
That would be
rocks
my
are much
concern.
more dangerous than
I
this.
think the accident potential here is likely to be kids on bikes, mountain bikes.
ooh,
I saw that
think
still,
about that.
I would definitely want to ride my mountain bike.
Skateboards.
Yeah.
Maybe we really want to put it over the bridge.
Can you put a fence
Put it out
around it?
and put it over the bridge would be beautiful. Could you get a price for putting it over the bridge?
That would be an even better mountain bike challenge.
I could see my,
To get another piece.
I could see my kids playing with cars or something when they were little.
Was your idea?
Having a good time.
All right, so what I'd like to do is, Andy, can you find out from Primex?
Yep.
One, if they have any particular issues, and let's go from there. I'm still concerned about kids falling off it, so that's my concern.
I think it's beautiful, and I think that it could be a really fun addition to the park.
Yeah.
I would love to see it there, especially in honor of.
I concur, but I want to deal with the liability issues as well,
Well,
so.
I think that putting it over the bridge is the safest way to deal with those liability issues.
But then you can't play with it.
I'm okay with that. There's plenty of crap to do there.
Yes, there's other things to play with.
So come back.
After, well, yeah,
Please, and
But-
tell them thank you.
yes,
No, I would
Please
absolutely.
We're
don't
very
thank
excited about it, we just have to figure it out.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
thank you. Chief Dronsfield, please.
Good evening. I'd like to introduce the board to Molly Walker. She'll be sworn in as our newest officer on the 30th. If you have any questions for her.
Well, she has hidden talents because you had her already working before she started
Yeah.
doing service.
She's a joiner, that's
That was
for
pretty
sure.
sneaky of you,
Yeah.
so, but yes,
We're really glad to have you on.
Thank you very
You want to just tell them a little bit about yourself? education and background?
So I have it was a 3-year bachelor's degree at Thomas College in forensic psychology with a minor in criminal justice. I have a year of firefighting training under my belt. I grew up on a farm. I grew up in Southburg, Maine. I still currently live there. And I'm just really excited to be a part of this community.
Excellent. Well, welcome.
Thank you very kindly.
Anything else?
Thank you.
So you can stay and watch if you want.
Did you guys get the form signed? Is she outside?
You have the form here. Okay.
Now, you first,
I sent a quick email about the sign at the transfer station.
Yes.
Mr. Kennison sign. I talked to Steve about it. He was talking about sprucing it up. So I don't know if you were able to see this, but I talked to Dave Deming at Motoring Images. He can do that in vinyl. It'll have a 5-year warranty for $150. Talking to Steve today, probably the best thing to do is just take the sign, pull the sign down because the wood and everything needs to be addressed, and bring it over to Mr. Deming and just say, here you go. He can have it in his garage and do his thing, and then when it's done, put it back up.
Okay. Thank you.
Next thing is, a while ago, the board had talked about interest in an electronic message board for in front of the safety complex. We've done a lot of research. They're expensive, very expensive signs. I did finally find a company in Texas. We have quite a list of references. Their quote came out at $11,900. That's a sign that'll fit perfectly underneath what we have out front between the 4x4. We'll have to chisel it just a little bit. It's about ½ an inch too long. The nice thing about this sign is you can get a cell modem for communication. When you buy the sign, you get 5 years prepaid. What that will do is it'll enable Denise to program the sign from the town hall. She won't have to come up here and log on or anything like that. And then once the 5 years is up, it's about $200 a year for the cell service. And that's probably at least $5,000 less than the next nearest sign that we looked at.
Where are we planning on getting the funding for it? Do we know? Can we decide that?
That I don't know, I just was tasked with finding the sign, so I found it.
So do these sit outside? Yes.
Yeah, it's an exterior sign. It'll mount between the 4x4 posts underneath the sign for the safety complex.
So one
It's
goes
a
on one-
two-sided.
So the master goes on one side and the slave goes on the other, I assume, right? Is the master and the slave?
Yes, yeah.
Those aren't the best choices of words, but okay.
I'm just reading what the
That's
thing
what it's on those
says.
things. So that's how it's labeled.
And does it do, I see it does, so it does pictures as well.
You can do graphics with it.
So, and something can rotate through in terms of, like, you could have meshes that sits there for a little period of time, and then it switches to
Yeah.
something else, and then it's,
Scrolling, yeah.
okay, all right.
And that would all be programmed by Denise or whoever down at the town hall.
And it says the price is good through the end of this month.
Well, Clay, who I'm dealing with down in Texas, they'll honor that. I told them that sometimes our processes are a little bogged down.
All right, how about, I don't know what you ladies would like to do, but can we leave this till we get into ARPA stuff and see if we want to proceed with that?
Okay.
Is that okay with both of you?
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. I just had two quick things that came up. We're gonna pick up the 2 new cruisers hopefully next week. And I spoke with the board several months ago about encumbering funds to replace the fire alarm system here because the system we have here is proprietary and extremely expensive. So I was able to encumber the $28,000 out of my budget. So everything's being ordered. And as soon as he has all the equipment together, he'll be able to install that. My hopes is that we could get to some point where every building is updated and under one person. Because right now it's like, well, is it Hackworth, is it Burns, is it this person, is it that person? what is this building? So he's gonna work up a quote to do the transfer station, he already has the town hall. So it'd be nice to have it all under one company, and he does
Town hall or town offices?
town offices, I'm sorry, town
Yeah,
offices.
Town Hall's with Hackworth.
Town halls with Hackworth, which,
Is the library, I assume, with Hackworth and the annex?
Yes.
So that whole
yeah, and then
compound?
some of the transfer station is Capital Alarm.
Yeah.
So
Superior.
it's Superior, yeah, so it'd be nice to have it all under one roof and
Okay.
call one number to get it fixed.
And my other two buildings are who knows.
Right.
Who knows?
That's and the alarm systems are antiquated, they really are. And the last thing is, I've been working on trying to secure a Tesla for a police cruiser, and my emails were going unanswered. The sheriff, Sheriff Brave of Stratford County, has a connection with the sheriff down in Florida. So he gave me the email, who to contact, nobody's getting back to me, so I reached out to Sheriff Brave. He made a couple phone calls. Turns out that they moved operations from California to Texas, so giving vehicles away kind of got on the back burner. So he got in touch with somebody over there who now has my email and phone number, so hopefully we can get that ball rolling. And they have a program where they'll actually give a municipality, a police department, a Tesla cruiser,
For
so,
transfer ownership or for use?
for use,
So at
for as a
some
police
point,
cruiser.
Yeah.
but at some point you give it back?
That, I don't know the details of that.
Okay.
That I don't know.
And do they have lights and everything, all those
We'd have to
packages
equip it.
for
We'd
the
have to
Tesla?
equip it, yeah.
That's like.
But I had already secured a quote, I think of about $8,000
Mhm.
to outfit it, which could come out of the specialty line item.
Okay. Right.
Oh, really great, thank you for looking into it.
Absolutely.
And
That's all I have.
I had a complaint about your cruisers on Saturday.
Yeah.
They don't like the sneakiness that you have cars that are unmarked and only says police on the side when it's, illuminated.
We don't have any unmarked cruiser. An unmarked cruiser has no lights and no markings. We have low profile.
That's what they complained about.
Yeah.
I've heard that complaint several times too.
Yep, so I told them, just don't do anything bad, you don't
You
have to worry about it.
Yeah, and that is the ones without the light bar on the roof, that offsets the cost that year. It's about $1,500 to $2,000 for a light bar, so we have, two without, two with.
Well, then you make a donation, that's another. I like burn for on top.
Well, if this particular person speeds around, he'll be paying about it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Haley? You're up.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on tonight. So as you know, the library's starting its renovations, yay, after Christmas, we're hoping in January. To save some time and to make it go a little more smoothly, we are hoping to move out of 2 whole library rooms completely. So we're trying to move out of the schoolhouse room and the circulation room, which is currently the kids' space. To be able to do that, I would like to request that we move part of the kids' collection and Miss Judy to the town hall for the majority of days from 10 until 5. If we could take some of the collection over there too, that would be amazing, so that we can clear out that whole room. My plan, or our plan, is that we use that space for circulation and programming for the children for the time of the whole renovation. We're hoping by doing that we can cut a month off the time of the renovation. We really want to keep the library fully operational throughout the whole renovation process. We're still trying to do interlibrary loans, curbside pickup. We still want people to be able to have full library services. So to make it a little bit easier, if we could have extra use of that space, would be amazing. I did chat with Steve about the weight and where to put bookcases and all that kind of stuff, which we said that we would work together with Public Works if possible to try and figure out the best use of the space and where the best place to put the books and things would be. Also, cost-wise, I know it's going to be the winter. It's going to be more expensive to be in that building more than we are now. So the library is obviously prepared to contribute to any additional costs that we incur during the time that we're over there.
Any questions for Haley?
She answered all of them.
Exactly. All those questions.
My question was the weight too, so.
Yeah.
So just a question in terms of when you're renovating that front, the old part of the school, the old schoolhouse, that's where your bathroom is, so you're gonna be using the town hall's bathroom
Yes,
for that?
yeah, we're trying to clear completely out of those two spaces. So the plan is to move, so at the moment Michelle and I are the only ones that are there all the time. So we can move into that back room where the adults are at the moment. So we'll remove a bookcase, move Michelle's desk and I out there, clear as much as we can out of the other two spaces. We have 2 entries and exits into that actual end of the building. So we have exits both sides, which is good. And we have been given permission kindly to use some of the storage space that's outside. So some of the lower use of collections we can put into storage for a few months, things that we know don't go out very often. So we can store some things, and kind of logistics of it we're still working out, but we just, if we could know that we can use that space, we can kind of get started. I mean, time is flying by. And we're kind of, we've got to figure out what we're doing here. So logistic-wise, to us, that would be the easiest option, to have that space that we can utilize more efficiently and effectively.
And if they don't have to work around the stuff, then that actually makes it more cost effective because they can move more quickly.
Yes, yeah. We're hoping to save time and money. We just want to get it done as quick as possible, and we kind of threw it out there to them, how is it going to be easiest? And they were like, well, if you can move out the whole building, we can't do that. But if we can do 2 rooms and then 1 room, it might save time and money. Which is
Like block off that whole area with
yes.
plastic and kind of have a different.
Yeah, and that the area will be widened anyway at some point during the renovation, but until that time, we'll be using the in and out of the side exits that way.
You don't need the town hall though till January?
No.
Okay.
Well, to still do extra, yes, to still do what we're doing
Yeah,
now.
oh, yes, but you're not planning on moving stuff till January?
Well, we would plan on moving it beforehand because the renovations,
Okay.
they're literally like 1st of January, not quite, but we want to
Okay.
start beginning, so we would have to be ready to go for them to kind of move in that first couple of weeks of January. So it would be kind of, if you say yes now,
Start going.
we'll start the process and try and make it a smooth transition for patrons and for us.
Are there things that we should think about in the town hall that will save on heating with this incredibly high heating coming
Well, as
in?
long as you leave the doors to upstairs closed, you know.
Okay, I mean, plastic windows or do anything to preventative?
We used the plastic one.
Yeah, I'm remembering something like that. So could we try to make sure we just tighten it up as much as possible? Because that's gonna be expensive this year.
Talk to the gentleman to your left. Oh, excuse me,
And
talk to the
Steve
gentleman in the
also.
back,
Yeah.
see if his staff can assist with that. So,
In all your free time, right, Steve?
I can plastic the windows if you need me to.
Yeah, I can help too, honestly. I would
but
be
that,
happy.
that's
Cut into
his,
some other stuff.
that's his department, so,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good idea.
And we're prepared to do, helping, I mean, my
Yeah.
staff are just like, we'll do anything we need to
Right,
do.
right.
I mean, I have a great team
Yeah.
who are prepared to kind of do whatever we can do to get through the process with as little hassle as
I
possible.
just think comfort-wise, because I know it can be really drafty and
Yeah.
also
Well,
expensive.
that's the other thing, underneath the stage, you're gonna have to do something about that too, because when everything got moved out, that kind of got ripped open. So that's another thing, because the cold air comes over, you know that.
Did it all get ripped out?
I think it got opened up or something. So that's
We put a whole
something.
bunch of pillows in front of that or something nice and.
Insulation would be better than pillows,
I'm just saying like something to stop the.
because that's open to the underneath, which is all the,
Yeah, yeah.
so, yeah, that's gonna have to be looked at too. And just be aware, you can't to the left.
The limit's full of stuff right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's,
You're not gonna use it anyway.
that's where the hazardous material is, so
Okay.
that's closed off, so you can't
So
use that.
none of those 2 rooms,
Yep.
just the
those-
main room and the bathroom.
And
the-
there's a little kitchen thing, I don't
Yes,
know what's in there,
yeah.
but you can use that space, but you can't go upstairs either.
No, that's all blocked, we
That's got-
don't use that, that's all blocked
that's-
off from my
yeah.
outside too.
Yeah, that's lead paint,
Yes.
so, and if you're gonna have kids, you know.
Yeah.
Understood.
Okay.
All set?
Make it cozy, warm, and safe.
Steve, do you have any concerns? If she's, no, you're good? Okay.
Yeah, we talked about making sure the bookshelves go over the main support
Yeah.
beams under the floor so we don't have any issues.
Perfect.
That was my only thing that I was concerned about, really. Okay. All right, I move to grant the library permission to use the old town hall to store some of the children's collection and, permission to have the library staff in the old town hall from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday between January 2023 and June 2023.
Hopefully not that long.
That's not part of the motion, so.
Second
To
motion.
provide circulation services to children's and family during the library's renovation. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I
9 to 12.
So you children.
So,
I hadn't thought about Saturdays. That's not entered my brain.
So,
But actually, we only have 2 staff on Saturdays, so that would be completely closed on Saturdays.
okay,
We
so
can't
make
have-
sure that's not.
Yeah, I wouldn't have Judy and Wendy in different places, so
Okay,
we'll
all
work
right, so
around that.
Monday through Friday is still okay.
Yes,
okay,
All right.
that was all my question.
thank
All
you,
right.
Rebecca.
All set? No, any discussion? No? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Haley. Regular business, town administrator?
Okay, the first item that I've included under regular business is credit card and ACH payment options. This is something that a number of departments, starting with recreation, moving to planning and zoning, the police department, and DPW at the transfer station are interested in being able to access. We have an account presently with Interware for dog registration fees, for payment of property taxes, and some other fees in the town clerk's office. It's a major boondoggle for finance. It requires double entry and a lot of accounting back work right now. So the finance director is not particularly in favor and has never been particularly in favor of using plastic, but more and more and more we're being approached, and I know Denise in our office is regularly approached when people make reservations for Little River Park, that type of thing. Want to know if they can use plastic, particularly now that they're required to leave a deposit. Denise either has to accept cash or a couple of personal checks, one for the fee, one for the deposit, and plastic would certainly eliminate that. There's no cost to accepting plastic with Interware's EB2 government programs if you don't need a reader. And essentially how you operate without a reader is just over the computer screen. You would have a portal on the town website where people could go on and make payment for activities if they wanted, or they could, in Denise's case, they would contact Denise. Denise would pull the screen up and enter their information. This sort of segues into the next item I've got there regarding financial software. And I didn't have this in time to include with the agenda, but I've got a quick piece from MTS, and I included it in my spreadsheet comparison of MRI's MTS administration software compared to Tyler that we have now. MTS, isn't that, they should use a lot of ink picturing, but one of the strengths of MTS is that they have download and import capabilities specific to both the EB2 Gov Interware software and Avatar software, which would basically eliminate the hassles that Joanne and Liz have been dealing with. And essentially, accounting for the credit card payments involves Linda doing a tremendous amount of old-fashioned accounting, Liz doing a lot of old-fashioned accounting, and when I say old-fashioned accounting, I mean writing with a pencil and erasing and double-checking, and the three of them get together and try to reconcile. This happens because Interware going into Tyler comes as a batch, so they get a single amount, and they have to go through and look at all the transactions and figure out how to make the transactions add up to the one singular amount they get for each batch.
It's a lot of man hours.
It involves three of them sitting at a table trying to add up dog registrations and
Yeah, that gets expensive
that
really
sort of
fast.
thing.
Yeah.
So are these two things tied together?
It could be.
Well, they are not. Not the same company, but as I've said, the MRI MTS software has specific import capability for the Interware software, the plastic, the ability to take plastic.
So this doesn't interface with Tyler at the moment?
It does not.
So would you not do this without the MTS?
I don't believe that I could get any cooperation from the financial people right now to do this without MTS. Joanne might agree, knowing full well that she's going to be gone in 75 days.
We're going forward with this system, aren't we? Or are we still deciding about it?
No, I've given you the information and,
We haven't
Well,
officially.
at the moment, one of the things I'd like us to consider, if we could, just in terms of this credit card thing, is it possible, I'm pretty sure it is, because there's a $1.50 charge for each particular transaction, and then on top of that, there's a $2.79 charge. No?
there's a minimum
it's a
charge of
minimum of
$1.50 if the percentage doesn't equal $1.50.
So either way, let's say the thing is $50. I'd rather increase our fee and not have to deal with having to have them calculate whatever this thing is.
Yeah, and I don't believe, you can have the user bear the sole cost under the Interware
I understand that.
program.
And then you
But
just make the
to make
price.
it simpler
Right.
for everybody concerned, like for instance, if it's $100 and 2.79%, that's $2.79. Just make the fee, $103 or something, so they don't have to deal with it.
I don't know if, I don't believe the DRA would allow that, particularly for taxes, but I
Oh,
can
no,
certainly
this
check.
isn't for taxes though, is it?
It's the same company that we use now
Oh,
for taxes,
okay.
yes.
Most people deal with this, and when you're doing it on a credit card, it doesn't need to be around number. If our fee's 100, and then we say you can either come in person and pay and avoid the fee, or you can pay $2.09 extra. Most
This
people
is
know.
not the point of this though, Katrin. This is the point. She wants to take credit cards. There's no option for them to come in, no matter if they do it online or come in.
You're not saying you can't do any other payment, you're just saying.
No, we're not saying you can't. You
Most
can still
people
bring a
choose this,
check in
right.
if you want.
Yeah, you
But
still can do
when
that.
people go to the, and I know Steve can speak to this, when people go to the transfer station, that sort of thing, they want to use plastic.
Yes.
Nobody's carrying a checkbook or a wallet full of cash anymore.
Right.
But
So
that's,
just
I
easier
thought
for everybody.
this was presented as.
But I don't think we control, I think the company controls what the percentage of the fee is.
Right.
But we don't. I don't think we can,
Yes, but if you made it $103, then it really was,
But he's saying
$100.
that doesn't work for
But
taxes.
we might be able to do that for recreation fees or transfer station fees. I don't believe we could do it for the other items. And I know there is some specific RSA
Okay, well,
language.
when you presented this, you didn't talk about taxes, so I thought it was just those other.
I'm sorry, I was just, because we have an existing account
Okay,
for taxes and registrations.
okay. Because the point of this is to make it easier for the people who are coming to us for those particular things.
Make it easier for those people, and they would, they bear the, and that's New Hampshire state law, they have to bear the full cost of the transaction.
Okay.
And the only real expense to the town, unless you wanted to offset the user percentage, would be if you needed readers. And I would suspect that at the transfer
Yeah.
station, for example, you would definitely want
So much easier.
a reader or two. Yeah.
So walk me through, I want to rent the pavilion and do my deposit and pay the fee.
Yep.
So they would come in and you would do those two transactions, correct? We'd keep the fee, the deposit, then what would you do, run a refund when everything
Yes,
was okay?
there's the ability to refund the deposit. So when, on Monday morning, when Denise checks with DPW and says the pavilion's still standing and there's not trash
Yeah.
all over the field, she could go back in and either credit the amount of the deposit to the credit or debit card.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I believe that's exactly how it works. when she
Which makes
explains to me.
your job easier in that respect, right? Because then you don't have to return cash, you don't have to return a check.
yeah, I've been lucky not to have to return cash. I've had checks that I've just held on to and then just destroyed.
Oh, you just destroyed them, okay.
It's also easier for the people involved because, I mean, she has a fair amount of dialogue with people about, I have to come in and give you 2 checks.
Right,
And
it's a lot.
Yep, okay.
It's not the way the world is working these days, so.
So that same scenario would play out in the transfer station, the police department, planning and zoning.
Yeah, we could basically add any department that takes
Okay.
fees. And
Recreation.
So they would all have their own screen that they could go on, or what would they
They
have?
would, we would set up a screen for each department, and there would be sub-accounts under the primary account. And right now, obviously, if we move forward with it, I probably have to physically threaten our financial people to get them to do it. I'm sure they would, but they they are not in favor of adding any more accounts with the present financial
But
software.
that's because
we
the
have.
way that the current software makes it, so once we
Right.
clean all of this up, that will change.
You can't
all of it.
import the accounts easily and
Right.
directly
Right.
through Tyler.
Okay. So, police department, Jess is right there with the computer, she can do it. Erin's right there with the computer, you're right there with the computer. Transfer station.
Would need some,
Wouldn't you need a computer to do this?
No,
in
you
the
don't.
little-
A reader.
Okay.
On the phone.
Well,
I'm sorry?
these are a little bit heavier duty than fobs on the phone. They have specific swipes.
little reader, right?
that-
And you would just have it
readers
there.
Oh, okay.
That are wireless, that would work, and
So they would have a reader.
Do they have to be attached to your bed?
they have a variety of readers. The prices are here.
Beautiful.
They have the basic wedge, which is $80, on up to, you can get one with a receipt printer for considerably more.
Okay.
Got it.
People could also go onto the town website if you were looking to sign up for a recreation program. You could, there would be a portal on the site, you could go and select if you were paying $35 for.
It's awesome.
So it sounds like this is on hold until we decide about this software.
I think, yeah, it's on hold until we decide about the software and how we want to proceed with the finance director.
How much more do we need to do to decide about the software?
Well, it's a fair expense, and you'd have to, first of all, figure out if you wanted to spend that money and where you might take it from. Although it's no more expensive if you've got the rate that I gave you, it's no more expensive than Tyler was when you started it.
And you're saving man hours and people hours throughout the, after, like, there's gonna be a whole learning curve, that's gonna be expensive, but after
Yeah,
that.
this is obviously a puff
Easier.
piece from MRI, but I think some of the bullet points that they give here make good sense. This is specifically designed for small to mid-sized communities in New Hampshire. One of the things that's attractive to me about the MTS software is that it does all the federal tax forms and payroll requirements for you. You can auto-fill those in the software. You can also auto-fill all the DRA forms. So if I ended up without a finance director for a month or two or something like that, for all intents and purposes, Denise or I should be able to figure out how to do the federal filings. Tells you which forms you need to file, that sort of thing, which as of right now, Joanne is sort of the keeper of all the secrets and is the only one who knows how to force Tyler to put it into a format that she can use for those forms.
So all we need to do is figure out how to pay for it, as long as we're in agreement that it makes sense to do.
Well, I think there's two things that I see as pluses to this. One, it's fairly reasonably priced as financial software goes. There's actually more than two. It would give us the ability to use the cloud for a number of things at a reasonable price. It would also give us some payroll options that we don't presently have. And I think, to my mind, this would be the optimal time to do it when we're changing out either bookkeeper or a finance officer.
Potentially be hiring somebody, or using the service instead of having to hire another person.
Either using the service or hiring somebody, coming into a new program. I don't think there's a better time to try to do something like this than when you're changing your chief financial person, but that's my take on it.
Good. ARPA?
Yes, please.
You want fries with them?
Where did I put my ARPA fund sheet? And basically,
These are the two that
Yeah.
you have.
basically what I did here, I did not put a listing from the financial planning tool for 2023, which I can certainly do, and I'll send copies to the board and send copies to Steve. This is a final rundown of what we spent from the first ARPA tranche that we received, and obviously it went over, so it included $19,143 of money from the second tranche as well. And then I've got what we've spent to date of the second tranche in fiscal year '23.
So there's 4 items here that say the project is not completed. So I thought just Steve said the town hall furnace was done.
Yeah, it got moved to the other page and then it's complete.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, yeah, it did get moved to the,
It's on the fiscal year
Oh.
23 page.
Okay.
So I don't, there's no number.
it was not started in '22.
Okay. And the highway shed is a no, did that get moved over too? No?
We haven't even started that at all.
All right. And then the sprinkler, TRS sprinkler, you haven't started that either? That's not, it
The sprinkler,
says transfer station?
I didn't know I was supposed to do the sprinkler system.
Well, there's no money allocated for it, so
Yeah, I know.
good. you
No,
did
these
that.
were the things that were, what I've listed here are the things that were put on the board
Mhm.
at our final financial planning tool meeting. On that.
So the thing about the highway shed is we probably should hold off on that, because the price of that one probably just went up by about $7,000.
Oh,
Because the wood was gonna get bought from Ricky, and I can no longer do that,
Mhm.
unfortunately.
Well, you did get the notification that you gave permission to move the one from the cemetery over for you guys, and then do a new one, right?
No.
No?
Well, here, that will be now, so that's an option.
Okay,
Does that work?
yeah, Pete'll be really happy.
Okay.
So I have money, I overpaid, because when we were first doing all the bridges out of ARPA, they had stuff, and then they returned stuff, and then I overpaid bills, so there's $1,301.73.
Okay.
That we have in a credit still at Reese,
Okay,
that I haven't gotten a check back for.
okay.
Can we use that for the bridge we're trying to build?
So I talked with Joanne and Andy about this a while ago, and they felt it would be cleaner where it's federal funds to get the check back, and then
Okay.
where, I think if it was just regular budget thing, yes.
But it was for bridges for the town that you got the money back from, right?
Yeah,
So isn't it the same thing, still just a different bridge?
that would be up to you
It's
guys.
a different cost though.
It is, I think, I mean, the money's there, I just think it'd be cleaner to get the refund.
Okay.
Let's just list it.
And that was under the ARPA money originally?
Yeah, those are both ARPA things.
So this balance of -19 will actually be a lot less once we get that check.
Well,
Well,
it'll be
$1,301 less.
1,300, is that you said?
A little bit less.
$1,301.73.
Okay, I heard 13.
And that was Joanne's recommendation, was that we get the credit back. But
So, Andy, when you do your thing, can you send that to John Tappan to make sure what he's doing with the financial planning tool is the same as what you're tracking?
Yes, and basically what I'm tracking is what you folks approved on, at the last financial planning tool meeting.
Okay.
Which I might mention, I did the minutes for him, I was unclear. I was unclear as to what was.
So that's when we were really muffled and you couldn't hear us?
Well, I think there are two things going on. It was sort of muffled, and you're also being very conversational about the items on the screen and not making, say, a motion
There's
to
no
approve.
motions.
There were no motions, and I probably should have spoken up during the meeting, but I was
Well,
caught up in that.
Yeah,
I do remember,
apologize.
however, moving the cemetery,
yes.
moving the one that exists to the highway, and then putting a new one up, and you all wanted to know if they would build the new one or buy the new one.
Right, question.
I do remember that.
What do you think of that, Steve?
Okay,
Would you
Which
build it or
do
buy
you
one?
think you'd do?
if we bought one, we're still gonna have to build it, so
Just build it.
probably just build it, because it's gonna come in a kit, and we're gonna have to build it anyway.
Is that something that sometimes people sell, a good quality used one, or no?
The problem is getting it in there.
Yeah. We just have such nice trucks.
The problem is just getting it in there,
Okay.
because it's not it's narrow, it's not easy to get around the corners and stuff in
All
there.
right.
have you and Pete, or maybe just Pete, drawn up what it is you were actually looking for? Because there's specific openings you wanted as well.
Yeah, because like when we do a full body,
Yeah.
the big 4x8 sheets of plywood don't really fit out the doors.
Yep.
The way they're situated. Plus we have so much plywood in there, there's no room for anything else.
So you guys have come up with a design that would work, so you can
Yeah.
get up things without having to take everything out to do.
Yeah,
The other thing is, and I'm not looking to spend tons of money, but another thing, talking to Pete in terms of going forward, you guys are looking at a larger excavator for one that was bigger than Ricky's to
Yeah.
do those particular things.
Yeah.
So I think it's on your list, but at some
Yeah,
point bring that back to us.
That's in my CIP, and
Okay.
the CIP or the financial planning tool for that's a little low
Okay.
because everything's gone up.
Okay.
The machine we currently use would be for sale as soon as we would choose to buy it.
Mhm.
And with all the attachments, it would be around 70.
Okay, all right. Well, it sounds like you've included it already anyways. Okay. So I think one of the things that I would like to do, I don't know what you ladies want to do, but I would like to have us schedule another financial tool meeting, because I don't have all the information I need in terms of what the list is and how much has been allocated, how much has been spent. So I'd like us to, at some point, set up another meeting to go over that with Mr. Tappan when he's available.
Is that something Mr. Tappan is willing to do?
We can, Denise and I can coordinate with Mr. Tappan and picture some dates that are available and see if we can make it.
Because I think at that time, we could figure out, one, how much money do we actually have, and what do we have on the list that we want to go for?
I think it would probably be a good idea to have
That's fine.
Steve, I don't know if Steve needs to be there, but certainly some communication with the board and Steve about that, because I know last time the board was approving things that Steve expressed to me, he was not necessarily ready to move on or
That's fine.
had a desire to move on, so.
That's fine.
So we can
So
be flexible.
coordinate schedules and see how that goes.
Okay.
Because it'd be nice to start as many of these things as possible.
So I can say that the building here for the roof there and back there was probably gonna start at the end of this week or beginning of next week, because
That's fine.
we're trying,
That's
I
great.
gotta get that stuff done before winter.
Yeah,
That's fine.
that's exciting.
And that is, Paul Tuck is gonna do that,
Okay.
so he's a Lee resident.
That's great, thank you.
One of the things can we do, I know I'm kind of going against what I just said, but can we approve the bridge from ARPA funds so they can do that? That's $400, and since we just found
So we have
$1,301.43.
Yeah.
73.
Oh, geez. I'm
So
not
how do you
sure
want
it's-
to rearrange the money? That's fine with me, but you can go ahead and get that done.
But I think it would be good to let them go ahead and do their thing, because I don't want to work out there when it's snow.
No, I don't either. No, I just want to make sure we don't overextend ourselves.
I think that's great, so.
Are we okay with
Yeah,
that?
do we need a motion on that one?
So I move to approve allocating $400 from the ARPA funds to, for the Leak Trails Committee to spend on moving the bridge on the Esker Trail in the Mont Jones Memorial Forest. Do I have a second?
Second?
Any discussion? No? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
It's okay.
We got there in the end.
Just didn't want to promise anything we didn't have.
All right.
As for the MTS software thing, I think at one point we had asked, and I don't know that I've seen it yet, if we moved over to them for all the financial services, what is the total savings or not savings for getting rid of the finance, getting rid of every employee that you're gonna get rid of and all that jazz?
Yeah, well, on the spreadsheet that I'd included tonight, I had put basically the breakdown of costs for the software, and I'd also put employees required. And I think after talking with Liz, Joanne, and Denise, we would still need a full-time person. Basically, the plan would be, if we went with the MTS software, we would have a full-time financial person, whether that be a bookkeeper or what we want to call it, financial administrator. We would do away with the accounting assistant and use MTS's or MRI's contracted services, which I had estimates from them based on towns similar to size in Lee. It ranged from $18,000 to $32,000 a year for MRI's contracted services.
How much do we pay for a part-time financial assistant?
Yeah, our part-time financial assistant is in the mid-40s, and you also add full benefits to that and state retirement.
So the overall cost goes down,
Would go
including
down
the price of.
considerably.
Well, I'm curious what the plus the benefits
So,
difference is, because maybe we could switch the money from being paying for their benefits and stuff to paying for the software, and then we
That's
would
where the money
make
comes from.
all of the money from other places.
so let's have the town administrator do that to show us the numbers.
I can do that, I'll do that based on Liz's, the
Great.
accounting assistant's
Correct.
present status and what we're using. And which is gonna be a little bit different because she's a part-time accounting assistant, but a full-time employee.
So it's hard to,
But
we
I
get a
will,
general idea of
I
what,
can give you
right, so it would be cost more to get an actual.
I can give you
Can we give a pretend person in that job that's,
I can do a pretend person and I can do the actual accounting assistant so you can see. I think either
Because-
way,
because if you hired somebody to do that job, you're not gonna get them in that.
No, I understand, I just don't know how much money we have in the budget
Yeah.
that we can
Mhm.
shift over to paying for
Yep.
the software and services, that's all.
nope, I can do salary and ancillary.
And do we have somebody who, in mind for the full-time financial officer position? Those are moving there.
We would, I'm assuming that we would advertise and go through.
So that would have to be a
hiring
brand new
process.
person, there's no one that's gonna be able to fill that.
I certainly have some people in mind that I would approach to see if they had an interest.
So I guess my further question then is, what do we expect we're gonna pay that person, and is that different from what we're currently paying that person?
I would say that we are on the very low side of financial director salary right now. And I've been watching, there've been a number of financial director and financial administrator positions advertised in the state of New Hampshire. Most of them are in the vicinity of $20,000 to $25,000 more than we're paying
And
right
we need a
now.
financial director, even if we go with the contracted services.
Right.
We won't necessarily need a financial director, but you're gonna pay at least what we're paying for the person in that
We're not
position,
saving money.
whether it's a bookkeeper or what
Okay,
we
so
call it.
can we get the current what we're paying for that position,
Mhm.
which I guess you expect to stay exactly the same, but we're currently paying that we're gonna save in the part-time financial assistant, so we can see where there's money in the budget?
And I can certainly do that. And I said, my only concern is moving forward. I've seen a number of other communities advertising considerably higher salaries, and some of them have been advertising since June or July, and
For financial director or for bookkeeper?
for both.
For both?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you, when you're doing that, and this is just me, the ladies can say whatever they want, but can you talk to the public works director and also to Linda? Depending on how we go with the financial system, I would like us to explore getting Steve an administrative assistant, half-time, so that person potentially could take the other half that Liz, the deputy town clerk tax collector's position, the other half. So maybe the same person could fill both roles, maybe, I don't know.
Conceivably, yep.
So if you could talk to those two people and just,
Unless he found somebody that might be good,
I
that already
don't
wants to
know.
do.
I'm just,
Only wants to do part-time.
if we have the information, then we can, make a decision when we're going through that process.
Nope, I will certainly put together a packet with all of that.
Anything else? Miscellaneous?
Yes, I had several miscellaneous things, very quick. The audit starts this week. Joanne and I will be meeting with Plodzik and Sanderson, Ryan from Plodzik and Sanderson, to get that underway. We discovered that we have a Department of Labor inspection coming up this week that we were not expecting. They notified us last week that they would be here on Friday at 9 a.m. They notified us late this afternoon that they'll be here tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Okay.
So, a little bit complicated, but we think we've got it covered. Denise and I are going to municipal finance training. The Municipal Association is holding an all-day training session in Manchester that we had signed up to go for, not expecting that there were going to be a team from the Department of Labor that need to get into every building, but I think Bill Booth is going to help us, and we've notified all department heads.
So what are they looking for, looking at?
Oh, we don't know exactly. They're just inspecting the workplace for safety, things that might be damaging to employees. And
Is that routine?
I would suspect that this is not routine. I would suspect that we may have had somebody file a complaint. It's just often how these are generated. New Hampshire doesn't have enough staff on hand at the Department of Labor to do routine inspections, so.
Well, let us know what happens.
A couple of things that I looked into. I have discussed the bee problem at the transfer station at length with the Director of Public Works and the Fire Chief. They both pinpointed, Steve very specifically, where the main nest is. It is actually in a phone pole, under live wires. It's actually in the wood, and Steve assured me that he is not interested in getting on a ladder and going up there. And the fire chief told me that we don't actually have a bucket capacity on our trucks. We only have ladders, and he does not feel comfortable climbing the ladder up there and putting a hose on
Not a live
three-phase live wires and the bees. So we're hoping for an early frost, I guess, at this point.
Steve had some ideas today too.
We can't like call the telephone people and make them come fix it? I mean, it's their pole, right?
I didn't give them a shot. I can.
They're not
We can't get them to come up and fix wires.
Yeah, so like these, but
It would be
Steve had some
next
good ideas
July
today.
before they came.
Oh, okay.
They make yellow jacket traps, so we'll put some yellow jacket traps up.
yeah.
Fun.
So,
And then-
don't they have a pest service? Why can't we call somebody and just have them just deal with it?
do bees.
What?
They don't do bees.
Well, I think JP will, I think, do bee removal, but I'm not sure what cost or if they
Right.
will do it at a height of 30 feet or.
They do, because they just got rid of a bald-faced hornet's nest at my shop today.
Good.
But this is 30 feet up a telephone pole.
You don't think that that's something that they're excited about?
No, I mean, you gotta get a ladder to balance on a round piece of wood that tapers, and who's gonna hold the ladder at the bottom when you start spraying it?
Don't we have access to a bucket truck? Somebody has a bucket truck.
We do, the racetrack.
Yeah.
I'm not really too keen, you don't have any place to run.
You're stuck in the bucket.
Then you're stuck in the bucket. There's,
You know what you need?
Protect your ears.
Bill Gould's wife. That's who you need.
Oh, yeah, she would know what to do.
Yes.
Bill has actually been involved in some discussions, and his wife is not necessarily interested in hornets
Oh,
or yellow jackets.
All right.
So one thing that Steve was pointing out that was really smart was that they're much more difficult right now. They have been much more invasive, and he's thinking that has to do with the drought and the lack of food source. We
Yeah,
talked
'cause
about possibly,
they're just stinging you for no reason.
yeah, literally.
Yeah.
right.
Or you just mind your own business and stand there and they
All right, so-
get you.
I'm not clear. What's the plan for getting rid of them?
He's gonna put up some,
Yellow jacket traps.
and that will clear them out of the area that they're in where they're dangerous to the public and to the employees. And then in the future, during drought, we might supply a water supply somewhere away
Just a
from the
bucket.
transfer station that will allow them to not.
Because they're gonna kind of hibernate, aren't they, in the winter
Yeah,
time?
yeah,
Can
just-
we put something in there to get rid of them?
So the problem right now is they go into the transfer station after the
Yes.
cans. They're all over the cans.
Yep.
And
So thirsty.
we might get rid of that nest. There's probably 3 or 4 other ones that we don't know where they are.
Multiples.
There's gotta be.
So if we have something that helps right around that vicinity, we're not trying to get rid of pollinators, we're just trying to keep it safe in the
This is-
area where people are.
This is the first year that it's been this bad.
So thinking about how to handle the behavior of the animals as well as clear
The
that
insects,
minute,
yeah.
yeah.
So people think.
I mean, right, I don't know, conservation, do you have any thoughts on that, no?
Nope.
Okay.
It's not something that we have ever discussed.
Okay, I'm just thinking that if that's the biggest problem, you have a lacking source, you make sure that they're getting what they need and then they're less grumpy.
Because we've tried to spray it before, but
Yeah.
the bottles don't reach.
No, I would go like 25 feet.
So, yeah.
And the way the wind whips through there, that when
Yeah.
you try to spray it
Yeah.
and the wind blows it,
What if we got someone in a bee suit to spray it in the bucket truck?
I know, right?
It comes down and they follow it.
Oh, yeah?
it's up there. Because what happened is a big pleated woodpecker
Yeah.
Went after the telephone pole, and they built a nest inside the hole from the woodpecker.
Does that not concern anyone that we have a weakened pole?
Every telephone
live
pole in
wire?
there has woodpecker holes in it, and when you call and tell them that, they just say, oh yeah, oh, okay.
Feels very dangerous.
The co-op doesn't care.
They've actually been replacing poles along 152
Okay.
that have been the victim of the woodpecker. So they are aware of it, they have
Woodpeckers
replaced
don't
it.
peck unless something's wrong.
Right.
So something's wrong with the wood.
Well, they look for the bugs.
Right.
Looking for bugs, and I
Get
think
in when
sometimes
the-
the humming from the wires
Oh.
attracts them.
Interesting. This is complicated stuff.
All right.
All right. I think you have a good solution, Steve. Thanks for thinking outside the box.
Yep. All right. Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Consent agenda, there's only one thing. Does anybody want to remove it for discussion?
The Ag Commission, nothing.
So I move to accept the consent agenda as presented. Do I have a second?
Second?
Any discussion? No. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. You get just that one thing to sign, right?
It's pretty easy. This is the smallest consent agenda ever.
Notify Mr. Brown that you can't come in and get sworn out.
Good sort of.
Yeah, sworn to, sworn from, sworn out.
I get sworn in, right?
All right. What's
Old business.
I had the demolition grant that I had mentioned as part of the New Hampshire housing program. Did a little research regarding the application. It turns out that I cannot apply for the grant on just a general sense. You have to have permits in place to actually conduct the demolition. So at this point, I can't apply for consideration for the demolition grant. The money is available, and they expect it's a rolling application period. They expect money to be available in there. The closing date is 12/24 for acceptance of funds, and I know the warrant article for the parish house expires next July. I believe the waiting period ends at that point. So there would be 5 or 6 months at the end of that period. They are considering the grant applications every other week at this point. So if the town decided that they did want to demolish the building, we would have 5 or 6 months, and hopefully there would be some money left that we could apply for up to $500,000.
You said it expires December 2024, right?
Right.
Well, the state of execution terminates July 1st, 2023. So that would be
Like a year
18
and a
months.
half?
Oh, yeah,
18 months.
longer than I realized.
You're not doing our financials, are you? Because
No, I'm trying to hire someone to get new software.
Kevin, is there any way that we can make, let people know that it's a building that's slated to be removed and that it would be available for them to take if they wanted it, or anything like that?
Oh, certainly. I just, when this came up at
Yeah,
a
we wanted,
meeting,
yeah.
I thought that if the town decided they wanted to do away with that building, it would be expensive, given the insulation and the paint and
Yeah.
that sort of thing, and that it would be a good idea to
Absolutely.
apply for up to $500,000 to offset the expense if the town went that route. But the town actually has to go that route before they will consider sending a check.
good information.
The calendar, come back to in July.
The other thing that I included was just a final budget to actual for fiscal year '22 after all the final bills have been accounted for.
So a surplus of almost 135,000 revenue.
I did not have an updated
I'm
revenue
going to
report.
write this down for his evaluation. Revenue, just revenue.
The revenue report, because revenue doesn't get applied back the way bills do, the revenue report that I sent you a week or two after the close of the fiscal year should be
That's what you get.
exactly the same.
I'm still waiting for the budget, though. The budget to the, I didn't get that. Did you get that?
So the budget report, the last revenue report that I
Didn't have
sent.
any budget numbers in it, as far
Okay.
as I remember. Maybe I'm misremembering,
Nope,
but
let me
What
track.
exactly?
What are you
What does this
asking for,
look
Mr.
like?
Bugby?
what does this exactly look like?
He wants to know what we had originally budgeted the revenue
For
to be
revenue,
versus
yes.
what we actually received in revenue.
Right, and I remember asking about what we were budgeting for revenue, and everyone told me you can't budget
Because
revenue.
Well,
Yeah,
their
you can.
No, you
expected
have,
revenue.
you have to
you have to.
include an estimate, and
Right.
basically what's
The
happened.
guess,
Right.
and then whether we can close
Yeah,
it
this is
out.
the conversation I had with Andy. So I love to know what the budget is for the expenses and what we actually spent to say how much is left over.
So
Right.
The
last
same
year's
thing has to,
430
yeah, the same thing has to be done for revenue. So
you
right
wanna see
now,
last year's 434
I-
report?
it has
No,
to
I
be-
think I had given you the 434 report, and you said that was not what you wanted. And I had Joanne create another report, but that's,
that didn't have budget numbers in it. So
Okay.
the budget numbers have to be laid in so that the same thing that you provided for the expenses has to be provided for the revenue. So let's say, for instance, we budgeted $100 for revenue to come in, and 125 came in, we're $25 to the good. I do not know that. I don't know if we said we bring in $1 million and we brought in 900,000, which means our expenses are less by 135,000, but our revenue was less, so that means we're only to the good by 35,000.
Can we just look at that, those two numbers quickly? Like, they can't be that hard to, because I have this right here, the revenue.
well, that's probably estimated revenue because
Yeah.
we have not done it's the 535 that Joanne is working on right now that I would typically submit before the end of September, which is our adjusted revenue for what we actually receive.
Okay.
And that, I believe, will give Scott exactly what he wants. It won't have estimated, it won't have just the estimated,
Well,
it'll have the
actual
actual
numbers.
final.
And then you'll be happy.
Well, the thing is, we need to know how much is being dumped into the unassigned fund balances versus are we dumping money in or is money coming out?
Right.
Because at some point, pretty soon, within the next month or so, we're gonna have to set the tax rate. Usually, we use whatever the surplus is that was dumped in to offset the taxes. If I don't know what that number is, I can't, make those decisions, so.
Right, and you're gonna get the percentage recommendation from DRA
Yep.
of the range to use.
So,
Let me get Joanne to complete the, I may be off one digit here, but I believe it's the 535 that is going to show what you're looking
I
for.
think that's,
And I can also get, what we've got for total dollars to
okay,
use going into tax rate setting.
fair enough.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you. No new business, nothing new for anybody? All set? All right, I moved into a non-public session, A and C still, nothing else? So I moved to into a non-public session, New Hampshire RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, sections A and C. No second.
Second?
Roll call vote, Katrina Casper?
Yes.
Rebecca Hawthorne?
Yes.
Scott Bugby, yes, motion passes.
And I know that both the police chief and the DPW director want to talk with you in non-public. I don't know who you want to start with first?
Who wants to go?
Mine, well, I'm on shift, so mine will take 5 minutes and I can.
Yeah, I was gonna say, whoever's gonna be quickest goes first.
Let's not forget I have to come in with the deed to finish it.
Okay. How about if we do?
So you get to come in after you see Steve leave, how's that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Or Denise is here no matter what. Sorry, please.
Not this week, not tomorrow, this is Department of Labor's. Whenever they want to come. Yeah, whenever they want to come. Oh, that's perfectly fine. I also want to start taking some of this stuff out and spray the whole line. knows how old I got some of this.
I'll look around.
Jeez.
We good?
It is streaming again.
And you took that thing down? Okay.
Took the non-public down, started streaming, undid the audio.
We good for October 13th?
For,
Oh,
Volunteer thing?
that's right.
yes, the volunteer dinner.
And all the arrangements are arranged?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, yeah,
All right.
you know.
And the people that we need to be there are going to be there?
I'm sorry?
I'm talking kind of
Yeah, I know, I need to
vaguely.
circle back since we're
Okay,
right
all
now.
right.
Circle back on that and. You want the volunteer
Just-
thing?
If you want to share that with her too, when you're done.
Me? Am I her?
All right, so we're back.
What's this gift?
That's money we give.
Oh, just
for-
our yearly.
Yeah,
When you
just
stop by,
those
the
folks.
manifest, let's not, to go back.
And is anybody going to the Health Trust
Oh, yeah.
meeting on September 22nd at either 9:30 or 3 PM to talk about how to return the surplus monies for the year starting 2023?
Yeah, I was planning on attending one of those sessions.
Okay, good. Tell them to give us as much money as they can give us back.
We would like all the money.
All the money, give us the money, show me the money. All right, you all set? I move to seal the minutes from the non-public session. Do I have a second?
Second?
Any discussion? No. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Anything else for the good of the
Oh, wait,
organization?
we aren't switched back.
What? We did
Hold on.
switch back?
Something's not working.
September switchback.
We're gonna have to send Andy to remedial AV school.
I've already been to remedial AV school 3 times with Steve now.
I think that they are gonna need to have a different school.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? Thank you for trying to make this work.
He's recording it anyway, so it doesn't.
Okay.
Are we good or not?
Yep, he said we're gonna,
Do we need to?
We're good now?
we're good now, so I would redo what you did.
All right.
Okay.
That's me rewinding, so all right, so what did we talked about going to the Health Trust, so Andy, you're gonna go to one of those 2 sessions?
Yep.
What else did we talk about?
We want all the money.
Oh, we want all the money from the.
Health
yep,
Trust
okay,
and seal the
all right,
minutes.
So he's got that direction. So I move to seal the non-public minutes from our non-public session, our minutes from our non-public session. Do I
Second?
have a second?
Second?
Any discussion? No. All those in favor, wait a minute.
Roll call.
Roll call, sorry. Katrina Casper?
Yes.
Rebecca Hawthorne?
Yes.
Scott Bugby, yes. Motion passes. The other thing is, I'm going to the meeting on Friday, and as far as I've heard so far, we're in favor of all the things that are being proposed. Is that correct?
I've heard nothing different from a department head or,
Yeah, I had seen some things in there that I asked questions about, but then it seemed like it was fine.
Okay. So I will go for all those particular things.
if they ask for general comment beyond those particular things, one thing that has caught my attention as of late is the cost of municipal association or local government center courses has gone up dramatically, which if there's outside speakers coming in, I potentially understand, but for their in-house people, looking for between $60 and $100 an attendant. We recently got a thing for a Right to Know conference that they recommended you make available to all your committees and that sort of thing, which I thought was a great idea until I looked and saw that it was like $75 per person to have the NHMA attorney, staff attorney, talk to them about Right to Know. And there were no meals or anything, and for the conference that it's a training session that Denise and I are going to, one of the benefits of signing up for the session was that you got the updated 2022 finance book and the updated 2022 budget book. And they sent us a link enabling us to print our own, 100-page manuals that they send in color.
So you feel you're getting nickel and dimed?
We're getting nickel and dimed, and we pay, $5,000 in annual dues.
right to, I mean, I know I took the right to know, wasn't it $50 or just 2 years ago? Like, how is it 50% increase in a year?
Everything has gone up considerably, and
You're not getting more.
maybe I'm just too old, but I remember taking like A Hard Road to Travel with Bernie Waugh,
Yeah.
and he played his violin and such, and you had to pay $10 if you
Yes.
wanted lunch, and otherwise you didn't.
Right.
I'll bring it up. I'll say, the board's okay with these increased prices, but our town administrator, Andy Robinson, is quite outraged at your increases.
You
No,
might
I'll
know
say-
Andy, he knows everybody.
You might know Andy, I think.
There are times that I would take a class happily and I don't because I
It's
think,
expensive.
oh, that's way too expensive. I was curious about it. And it's sad to stop someone from learning how to do their job better because you don't want to be
Well,
wasteful.
then you ask the question, what's the benefit of being a member,
Right.
for that
Right.
particular amount that we spend, so.
Well, I've seen membership has ticked up a little bit each year too, and
I suspect they're doing like everybody else, they're trying to get as much revenue as possible, because I expect their expenses have gone up as well. so-
I know I took Academy of Good Governance last year and I just thought I'll just take it again because it just helps so much. That's a great program.
Mhm.
And that's free and that's been wonderful. And I feel like that's a really, that's an I mean, the things you cover are amazing topics, but I think to have them be so expensive for such a small topic that we all need to know.
well,
doesn't make
they're
sense.
using staff that are supposedly encompassed in the budget.
Why are we paying that much extra? And it's not like it's all that many new things they're adding to last year. I mean, I've done the right to know twice. Are you sure it wasn't free before? I wouldn't have done it twice if
I can't recall exactly, but I know that the most recent one, that last week, I believe it was, they sent the email out, and I was thinking, great, I'm gonna round up the
Right.
chairs of the committees and make them go, and then I'm like, holy cow, that would be
Yeah.
$1,600 if I made everybody go.
But it was really helpful and I do
That
have to
would be
take it twice,
definitely
so
a
I
good
think,
idea.
We have done free ones, I think,
Because-
because we have tried to push the chairs
Yeah.
to go.
They wanted $60 a participant for the Zoom
yeah.
right to know
I agree, so please
conference.
bring
That
that
was
up.
earlier in the
You
spring.
can definitely use my name too.
How can Rebecca get this sent to our house instead of to you at the town offices?
I can change the address, which I thought I had.
I tried that last year when I first got on, for so long, and there was a reason, I forgot what it was.
What is your 64 Fox Garrison? What is your?
60.
60 Fox Garrison.
60 Fox Garrison?
Yep.
I will make another stab at it.
Okay.
I will say that some of these things I have tried to change the staff
It's okay.
members.
I mean, you bring it, it's not like it
For
hurts.
years and
Yeah.
When
I
go
love
on-
reading that, and I would love to get it in my house too. That'd be awesome.
Oh, Elder Osborne, what number?
16.
16. When I go Friday, I'll talk to Tim as well, so I'll say, hey,
Can we get these sent home?
we need to get these sent to a different address.
Because we don't have an office.
I can,
We don't need it on.
think I can change the mailing address.
I feel like there was something that Julie told me about, that there was only 2 could go out, and that's why we were having me not get one because I was the
I
third
think
person, but that would make Rebecca the third person now, so.
there was a policy change. I think they were trying to steer people towards electronic version.
Oh, I could happily just get an electronic version, that's fine. Do I already get that? Like, I might.
I know, yeah, I might get it.
I like to keep them because I like to go back and look at things that they talk about, especially the legal cases. That's why I like hard copies, but that's just me.
And all of that stuff is very Googleable. If you put NHMA
That's
with
true.
even a hint of the topic you're looking for, it'll pull you all the articles for the last 20 years or so.
Oh,
So don't make us pay any
you
extra
just
for it.
went past, you went past it.
That's fine.
You keep going, you missed all the important pieces.
Are you
No,
on
keep
the
on going,
picture?
it's nearer the front.
You must be in a picture. It sounds like what's happening here.
Yeah, you went right past the picture of me.
This would be.
That's me right
I
there.
can't even, I
Saw
can't even,
that
I
coming.
can't even see that.
Oh, come
See
on,
that?
come on. That's
Sorry.
me in the corner.
That's me in the corner.
That's me in the
That's
corner,
me in the
that's a
spotlight.
song.
Turn that around, I didn't see that.
You didn't see?
You're not gonna be able to see it from over there, I'm gonna be real honest.
Well, just let me say,
At this policy meeting.
Where are you at? Right there,
In
my
the
finger,
corner.
right next to my fingernail.
Come on. You can't make me out.
where is that though?
That's at the MHA.
Oh,
building.
is it? Oh, okay.
That's when the 3 committees get together and they discuss their policies. And wait, turn that back.
Are you in
Right
another
over
picture?
here is Andy's uncle. He might be out of pain, but that's what was
I'm
up
gonna
though.
say, this is a fun conversation, but no longer on topic.
I know you go to bed, so I can get up in the
Yeah,
morning.
we're gonna go. Bye-bye.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I'll see you guys Thursday.
I'm not sure.
I'm sorry.
I think it just-
It isn't a switch.
And I will either be on time or I'll be late.
It's good now, but then he
I
said the
need you
delay
to-
is bad. so
On
maybe
Thursday?
it was
Yeah,
just
I think it's
the
just,
I do,
it was just
I
a
do.
delay.
Okay.
Because I can watch it online.
That's fine, I mean, what, I mean, really the AC
No, I want
does
him
it,
to hear me
right?
say, I think the delay is
You could
bad.
ask
Those stupid topics are very rarely a huge damage, so.
Right,
I would like to be able to go to the whole meeting, so that would be lovely.
so it's police and
Library.
library. Oh.